Welcome back to Autism Live. As promised, we like to show you autism from all around the world. And today we are going to journey via Skype to India. I'm so thrilled to welcome to the show for the first time Manish Samnani. Hopefully I said it close to right. Manish, we're so thrilled to have you with us today. You are part of an organization called Soch. Did I get that right? And you and your wife, I have heard wonderful tales about the amazing things that you guys do in India. Talk to us a little bit about what your area of focus in India is.
Right. Um, First of all, thank you, and I'm very glad to be on this show. Um, we are running a center called Soch, which primarily works for children with developmental difficulties. We run an early intervention program, and we also run a program that takes care of their individualized therapeutic needs right up to the age of adulthood. We have an interdisciplinary kind of a model where there are multiple therapies like physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, special education, dance and movement therapy, language and communication, all being taken care of under one roof in a very, very coordinated and organized manner.
And you, in particular, you are yourself an occupational therapist, is that correct?
That's correct.
And you, your center likes to approach things from more of a sensory integration platform. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Talk to
Correct.
us a little bit about what that means.
So we believe that children who have developmental difficulties primarily have a sensory integration base as a cause to their problem, and also the sensory integration theory can be used to devise specific strategies to help cope up with their difficulties. Children who are very young and are diagnosed with autism spectrum typically are looked at as having repetitive behaviors, as having behaviors which are odd and not so social. However, the sensory integration theory explains these things more as sensory needs of the child. A child who spins continuously is actually looking for the visual stimulation that comes out of that spinning as a source or as a diet for their brain, and hence they keep looking for it in a insatiable way, and that leads to what others call as repetitive behavior. That's one of the examples, but sensory integration can actually explain the behavioral manifestations that we see or we find very, very challenging in children with autism as something that are not unusual, as something that are very normal for any other individual. The only difficulty might be that the regulation of such needs may not be very good in the child because of the neurological, biological difficulties that they have.
And so how do you go about, do you try to counteract that so that the need isn't so high? What's the philosophy there? How do you deal with something like perpetual spinning?
The philosophy is that we need to make children understand their own sensory needs, give them an appropriate way or media or an activity or a task that actually fulfills their sensory need in a more and more meaningful way and in a more and more age appropriate way. So, for example, when a child is completely repetitive about spinning a wheel of a car, he's actually having a lot of difficulty with his age appropriate play skills. For him, the visual stimulation coming out of the car wheels are the only source of play and engagement. The work that we would do using the sensory integration perspective then would be to make sure that the child still gets the visual stimulation that he's looking for, but is also progressively mature in his adaptive responses that he gives towards the same object. So if he's only into spinning the wheel of the car, we might actually playfully engage with this child with the same car, but with some responses or reciprocal play or pretend play, or a play that the child may not have ideas for, but we might put in those ideas as an invitation to the child to join in. So a child who is only spinning might actually push a card to the therapist and get it back from him to learn it is equal and even more fun to engage with the same object, but in a variety of ways than he was capable of because he had limited ideas to do it.
Absolutely. And you've
The
had
other
tremendous.
idea is to fulfill the need.
I'm sorry.
The idea is to fulfill the sensory need, however, to make it more and more age appropriate, meaningful use of the object as well.
And you've had tremendous success with this, correct?
Yes, of course, we have a very high success, especially because this intervention is also a very child-centered intervention. It does not believe in instructing the child. It does not believe in directing the child towards specific tasks, towards specific skills to be learned. It rather believes in engaging the child in a creative way so that a lot of responses are elicited rather than learned or taught.
Right. Which makes it reinforcing for the child. Now, you also, one of the things that I noticed on your website that you guys deal with is dyspraxia. Now, this kind of tripped me up a little bit. I was like, what's dyspraxia? Because here in the United States, the term that we use most often is apraxia, but I understand that it's the same thing. Is that correct?
I mean, the nature of difficulty might be same, but apraxia typically comes out of a very clear neurological deficit. Say, for example, when an adult has a stroke, or when they have a neurological insult, which can be clearly diagnosed on a scan or something. However, dyspraxia is a developmental condition. It primarily comes out of sensory integration deficit. It comes out of because the sensory systems cannot integrate with each other. You will have difficulties in day-to-day simple ordinary activities despite having normal neurological status, despite having normal intellectual ability. Frequently, children with autism also have dyspraxia, and it is difficult for them to learn simple day-to-day tasks like dressing self, brushing, taking care of yourself. However, dyspraxia is frequently known to coexist without autism as well, and in this case, the child is very normally communicating. However, his struggles with motor task, very simple, ordinary motor task, confuses anyone to understand and see why would that happen in a child who is otherwise very, very regular child.
Sorry about that. There's always interruptions, right? That's the nature of live. It's all good. But so how at the center are you guys working on dyspraxia?
So the occupational therapy perspective takes care of, again, the sensory integration in the child, wherein the child comes to us and engages in very, very challenging motor activities, where we ask the child or encourage the child to plan their motor actions by themselves. We usually tell the child the outcome of a physical task. So, for example, I might I might tell a child, I need you to reach from this place or this swing to the other point. However, I do not tell him how and what kind of equipment or what kind of steps would he actually sequence within his brain to actually do that, to actually execute and reach that point. What happens then is that the child is required to cope up with the situation, bring up their own ideas, and it's pretty open-ended because this is a child-centered intervention. All ideas which are logically fine are all acceptable. There is no idea that is to be changed or modified by the therapist. However, what we want the child to understand is that for reaching an outcome, you had to plan some actions, you had to sequence them, and also execute them successfully, and then you were able to do it. what we are trying to do here is to, in a way, improve the wiring of the brain. We are trying to make their brain functional areas much more efficient to take up those tasks in not just the clinic environment, but also generalize it to a day-to-day situation. What we want them ultimately is to be very, very independent with their daily living tasks, be it be handwriting, be it be dressing, be it be taking care of your household or your school supplies by yourself.
Really teaching them how to learn and apply what they know to new circumstances, which is the generalization. Love it. So, and but also in India, you guys are being a wonderful resource for ongoing education. I know that you've got some events that are coming up. Talk to us a little bit about that.
So we believe in a constantly engaging in professional development at a very, very broader and higher level, where we want to constantly tie up with global bodies, institutions, or universities to come to us, and share what is out there, and to try and see how it is how it can be adapted, modified, and then put into the community or the culture that we have here. In this way, what we have done till now is to collaborate with Autism Movement Therapy, Joanne Lara, and she came and visited India 5 years back, and again recently 1 year back, wherein she brought in the concept of expressive arts using music and movement to bring out a change in children, to bring out a sense of inclusion in children. At that time, when we invited Joanne, there was no information in India regarding use of non-directed, not so instructional based interventions that take care of a child's inner drives. So we were really pioneering without much of information, that we are putting into our culture a whole new paradigm of information, of a whole new paradigm of knowledge base, from where various things could be taken up for improving behavioral skills, social skills, putting the autism movement therapy program into school systems. We now in Soch have a separate program called the music and movement therapy program, where children having variable amount of difficulties join in on weekends, and the parents are happy to see how willingly, how voluntarily, and happily they are ready to engage in reciprocal communication, social skills, which was otherwise so difficult to teach them in a clinic kind of an environment.
Absolutely.
So and we are also collaborating with Adelphi University this time in November and December, wherein Stephen Shore will be joining in Joanne Lara, and three more faculties, one from the music therapy background, one from the sand art background, and one from the music and movement background, to bring in a 5-day course to make sure that there is a complete certification program for empowerment and knowledge of the professionals here.
And so I just want to congratulate you on the work that you're doing in India. And where are you actually located?
We are located in a very near Delhi, in a city called Gurgaon, and Delhi is, like the capital city of the country, and we are located very close to the airport.
And I'm curious because funding is always an issue. Wherever you are in the world, funding is an issue. Where do you find that your families in India primarily get their funding? Is it mostly private pay?
Yes. So in India, the primary source of funding used to be the parents themselves, the self funding kind of a mechanism. However, things seem to change a little bit, wherein the insurance companies are slowly getting into the picture. However, the onus of funding still seems to be primarily on the parents themselves.
Well, I hope that things keep going in the direction of insurance, because that will make these kinds of programs accessible for so many more. But I really want to congratulate you. I've heard nothing but amazing things about what you and your wife are doing there. And I want to congratulate you on all the help you're giving to the autism community there in India. Thank you so much for being with us. Is there anything else that you want to say before we leave?
I would like to say that the 5-day program with five different faculties in November and December is again something which is a very path-breaking and pioneering course that is going to happen. It covers the expressive arts paradigm. It also gives you a unique opportunity to have credits from the Adelphi University of New York. To my knowledge, such a group of highly skilled professionals coming together to do a program in Delhi and in another neighboring country, Bangladesh, and the city is Dhaka, is something that is an opportunity for any caregiver, a professional, or a school teacher to come in, join in, and learn something that can make the autism children's life much more beautiful in whatever environment they are in.
I also want to say too, it's an opportunity for people to gather together. We have many moms in particular who are watching from India that are working really hard on their own to help their children, and they would love to feel a sense of community. And what a wonderful event to be able to come together, meet other people, exchange ideas, and get to see some of the hope and what's happening in the right direction. So I want to congratulate you on providing that. And of course, on the flyer, you could see the information of how to get a hold of him. Let's show their website one more time again, Samantha. So here is the website for the organization, and you can go there to find out more about the event that's happening in December, but other events that you have coming up as well. Correct, Manish?
Yes, we have a sensory integration certification program with University of Southern California that is coming up. It's actually going on, and we are going to conclude in July. From time to time, there are parent organizations that are inviting Soch to conduct training on behavior management through sensory integration. We are also doing separate programs for professionals like occupational therapists and speech therapists to train them in specific techniques to manage and treat children with autism. These programs run through me, through my wife Malvika, who is also an occupational therapist, and several other senior team members of Soch. And we are getting a lot of queries from different organizations to do team training, which could be a multidisciplinary team training in terms of developing a clear philosophy and also getting a knowledge of updated information, updated therapies available in the world about autism.
Remarkable thing that you're doing. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. I know it's quite late where you are, but you're a busy guy. Like you had people trying to get a hold of you during this interview, even though it's late. You need to tell them you go off the clock at a certain time.
I think I'm trying to do whatever best I can, because I am this is not just my work and profession, but this is where my heart lies, and I want to make sure that a challenge like autism is suitably worked with, dealt with, and managed in such a way that it brings about joy and happiness in the lives of these children.
Wonderful. What a fabulous way to end the interview.